A powerful storm is about to impact the United States, and this is going to bring some big problems. This includes the risk of snowfall across areas like the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. Additionally, the coldest weather that we've seen since March will be impacting a large majority of the lower 48, including areas like Florida. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And right now, we have a little storm system that is now making its way out of the United States. This did end up bringing a little bit of severe weather yesterday to Kentucky and Tennessee. Aside from maybe one brief tornado, this was a pretty low-end storm event that ended up occurring. For the most part, just a lot of rain up and down the East Coast here over the last 24 hours. But really, the big story is this thing right here, our new storm system that is making its way across the Dakotas and Montana this morning. This is going to make its way into the Ohio Valley and the Midwest later today, and it's about to bring a bunch of snowfall to areas right along the Great Lakes, and also the first snowfall of the season for millions of you, stretching from the Dakotas back into Iowa and Illinois and even across the Northeast. And once this storm system gets far enough down to the south, we're going to see a bunch of Arctic air spilling its way into the Great Plains all across the East Coast as well as we go into late Sunday and Monday. So some of the coldest weather of the season's coming, and on top of that, a lot of snow is on the way for some of you. So the big story this week is this big dip in the jet stream that we are about to experience across the United States. This is very reminiscent of a weather pattern that we would typically see in the month of February or even in January. This is not something that you see very often in November, but what's going to happen over the next couple of days is that we are going to see a major dip in the jet stream. This is a very intense southerly flow that's going to be coming right out of Canada on Sunday, and that's going to transport all sorts of cold air from Canada all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. This will be primarily a risk for late Sunday and Monday for many of you across the United States. This right here is a very large low pressure system sitting right over the Great Lakes. And notice as we go into Monday and Tuesday, that dip in the jet stream is going to get even more intense as it goes right along the East Coast. So we are expecting well below average temperatures to impact a large majority of the lower 48. That's mainly going to be east of the Rocky Mountains, though. If you're west of the Rockies, we're actually going to have a ridge building. So if you're back over on the West Coast, you're not going to see this cold weather. It's going to actually be above average for temperatures over the next few days. But with this storm system, below average temperatures and our first snowfall of the season is ahead, and we could even see some record-breaking low temperatures in some areas. Now, you should be prepared to have your winter jackets ready to go because we are about to see some very frigid weather across much of the United States over the next few days. This is what it looks like tonight and into early tomorrow. We're going to have all sorts of cold air building across the Midwest and the central and northern plains. This is all going to be coming out of Canada, so very cold air is ahead. Many areas will drop by as much as 30 degrees just over the span of about 12 to 24 hours, so it's going to get cold very quickly. By late Sunday and early Monday, all that cold air is going to make its way down towards the Gulf Coast, with some of the coldest air located across the Midwest and even down into the lower Mississippi Valley, where temperatures could be as much as 30 degrees below average. Monday, that cold air will make its way down into the southeast. Notice how we could even have some areas as much as 30 to 35 degrees below average Monday morning. This could actually allow for some snow flurries in areas like Tennessee and Kentucky. Fun fact, Tennessee has a possibility of seeing snow on Monday. Denver, Colorado has not measured snowfall yet, so this would be the first time in history that we've ever seen snowfall in Nashville before Denver, if that were to happen. So that's something we're keeping an eye out for on Monday. And then going into early Tuesday, all that cold air will be draping the East Coast, and then Wednesday, Thursday, most of that cold air will be moving out. We will still have a dip in the jet stream, though, all across the Midwest and the Northeast by the end of next week, which does mean that this cold air is going to linger for quite some time. But above average temperatures will make a return across the Great Plains by next weekend. Now, over the next couple of days, we're going to see some pretty cold weather. This is what it looks like Sunday morning for our actual temperatures. Freezing temperature line will make its way down into central Kansas, all the way into northern Illinois as well. This is very typical for this time of the year, but what is not typical is what we're going to see Monday. Our freezing line is going to make it all the way down into central Texas and even down into parts of central Mississippi on Monday. Now, to be quite frank, this has happened before, but this is definitely running a little bit ahead of schedule. Typically, our first freeze in North Texas is around the middle to end of November, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule on that. But really, what's going to be the most rare out of this storm system is Tuesday morning. We are going to see the possibility of freezing temperatures make their way all the way down into central and northern Florida. This here is extremely rare. We actually have a potential to break almost 24 records, really just across Florida alone on Tuesday when it comes to low temperatures. So that is something that we're going to talk more about here in just a moment. But notice our freezing temperatures will make their way all the way down into most of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. And really the biggest impact for this will be those that are farmers. If you have any sensitive vegetation, please make sure that you're protecting that. And if you have any pets, make sure that they're indoors on these nights, because it will definitely be cold out there, especially Monday and Tuesday morning. So this storm system is going to break a ton of different records. This is what it looks like Monday afternoon for our high temperatures. These are record-breaking low maximum temperatures. So areas like even western Florida will only make it to 55 degrees, even into parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and eastern Tennessee, only in the mid-30s. So very cold weather. But really what's crazy is Tuesday morning. These are all of the record-breaking low temperatures for the 11th that we will likely be breaking. This includes areas like Knoxville that might only be 24 degrees on Tuesday morning, down into central Florida, and even down towards the coastlines. We could actually have areas like Orlando down near 38 degrees, Jacksonville at 34, Savannah at 28. This is awfully cold weather. And then during the afternoon hours, these are the high temperatures that we'll be dealing with across Florida and even Georgia and South Carolina. These are all record-breaking low maximum temperatures, 60s in Florida and only in the 50s across southeastern South Carolina. So again, a fairly rare weather pattern is developing. Now, on top of the record-breaking cold that we are going to see, there is also a threat of snowfall over the next few days. So let's talk more about it. I do want to note that our timestamp is at the very top left of your screen. This is what it looks like this morning. We already have snow out there across North Dakota, even some heavier bands of snow right now moving through northwest Iowa, northeastern Nebraska, and extreme southwestern Minnesota. By lunchtime, that snowfall will continue to push to the east. Some light to moderate snow will continue across central Iowa and southern Wisconsin. It's going to be kind of a slushy mix in my opinion. I think a lot of it is going to be rain and snow, so a lot of what we're going to see is likely just going to be slushy snow. There could be a few areas though that actually see around 1 to 2 inches of accumulation out of this, but we're not talking about anything that significant. And then by tonight, that snow will be making its way into southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. I think we'll be mostly just starting out as rain in the Windy City, and then it'll probably transition briefly to at least some snowfall. Accumulation in Chicago, though, does not look that likely. And then overnight tonight and early tomorrow morning, snow will stretch mostly across Canada and also northern Indiana, southern Michigan. We're likely going to see some lake effect snow Sunday as our low pressure system is going to be centered over Pennsylvania and New York. And as it continues to pull to the northeast, that's going to help to allow for strong northerly winds to help pull snow and basically all sorts of moisture across the lakes, which this is going to help to increase the amount of snow that is falling in far northern Indiana, northern Ohio, and western New York throughout Sunday and Monday. Late Sunday and early Monday, snow will continue, and we're going to continue to see some pretty heavy lake effect snow coming off of Lake Michigan. This will be primarily impacting far western parts of Michigan and far northern Indiana. Monday morning, we could also see some snowfall in areas like eastern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee. Might even see some snow flurries over near Nashville as well. And then early Monday, that snow will continue, especially across northwest Indiana and western Michigan. Decent amount of snow also across Ohio and West Virginia. And then late Monday into early Tuesday, that snow is going to start to wind down in Michigan and Indiana, but we're going to start to see lake effect snow ramp up again in western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, and northeastern Ohio. And that's going to continue to stack up over the time of Tuesday and even into early Wednesday. Now, this is how much snow we can expect over the next couple of days out of this event. We are going to see a lot of snow in about 3 different areas. The first of which is northwest Indiana, southwest Michigan. This is where we could have a jackpot area of upwards of 6 to even 12 inches of snowfall. I wouldn't rule out a couple of isolated locations up near 18 inches of snow. It's really just going to come down to our lake effect snow band staying heavy. And then back over in far northeastern Ohio, back through western New York, just south of Buffalo. This is where I think the peak of snowfall will probably be around 6 to 7 inches of snow. And then over in far western New York near Watertown, that's another area that'll probably see around 6 to 12 inches. I don't think we're going to see much accumulation across much of central and southern Ohio and Kentucky. I think these are just way overestimated. If anything, some snow flurries, maybe up to a coating on some elevated surfaces is a possibility, but I think any legit accumulation is going to be pretty hard to come by. And then once we get past this winter weather event over the next couple of days, things are going to turn quiet for most of the United States next week. High pressure is going to be dominant basically all across the Great Plains and into the southeast. We'll continue to have at least some snow between about Monday and like Friday or so across areas in the far upper Midwest and also across the Northeast. So don't be surprised with some snow for a few days there as cold air continues to linger. And then by next weekend is when I think we're going to start to see a big increase of atmospheric river events, big low pressure systems making their way into the West Coast. This will dump lots of rain and snow. And once we start to see some of that moisture pull over the Rockies, that's when we're going to start to see our next big storm systems entering into the United States. What those exactly do, where they happen, will there be severe weather, will we see snow? That's all up in the air, as that is still well over 7 days from now, but that'll be really what we're watching for as we go into the next couple weeks of November. And as always, always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And as a reminder, we have our 6-7 sale going on at shopmaxvelocity.net. If you use code 067, you get 67 cents off any order. And then if you use code 670, you get $6.70 off any order of over $67. You can check this out again at shopmaxvelocity.net. We have our Happy Holidays collection out, Supercell merch, and a bunch of other stuff. This is all great stuff for stocking stuffers and Christmas gifts, so check this out again at the top link in the description below, and we'll see you guys all again in the next forecast.